adhere to the laws and regulations of our country. The aim of the registration drive was twofold, as you will recall. Firstly, to ensure compliance with food safety standards and to rebuild a more competitive and compliant businesses in our country. After the announcement by the President through the net joints that was established, 7 work streams were formulated, and ourselves as DSBD leading the economic work stream, which focused more on interventions to build capacity in our township and that I'm not here as the department only. We've supported the registration through the node joints, as I indicated, and we will have the net joints briefing the nation in the coming 2 weeks' time on the progress that have been made, the number that has been registered, and therefore what then happens next. Ours is to focus on the business support for those that have adhered to the call. Key from our side was to form a NEV center, which was formed by the MECs responsible for economic development throughout our provinces and the MMCs responsible for economic development at district level. And we did this because we wanted to closely monitor the registration process across the country. We visited 135 registration centers during this process in order to get first-hand experience of the challenges. Provincial teams were led by the department. As we said, it was a multidisciplinary process, but in the specific ones, we led and support was received overwhelmingly from all provinces and the municipalities. We do know that the process had challenges, with many municipalities not having electronic business registration systems. We found that only 60 out of the municipalities in the country have a digital business registration system. Now we want to say to all those that have registered or adhered the call to go and register their businesses, that all those that have adhered and those that are within their constitutional right to do business but still awaiting the processes in terms of the outcomes as they are led by the municipalities will not be penalized. It is important that I emphasize this point because some businesses did adhere to the President's call and went to register, but because of what I've explained, that other municipalities are still undertaking manual processes and also the confirmation of certain documentation, which means it is not the fault of the business owners. It is government's responsibility to smoothen the process. This is why we're saying those businesses will not be penalized. We understand the difficulties and costs that are associated with becoming compliant, and this is why we've committed that over the next 6 months, we'll be supporting those Spaza shops who applied but are not yet compliant with non-financial support to enable their successful registration by ensuring that they are compliant. This is the developmental approach to compliance that we have adopted, offering assistance to those seeking to comply through training programs provided by the different stakeholders. We already have a Spaza shop support program that we are running, including with the wholesale and retail sector and other partners, where we train Spaza shops on inventory management and assist with essential equipment such as the point of sale systems as well as financial support for stock. This is our proof of concept, which we will improve and scale going forward. We also have a range of other interventions and offerings to support township and rural enterprises. And amongst those, we're looking at businesses, most of small businesses pose a high risk to their business. This is why we are providing credit guarantee so that our businesses can be able to access finance from the banks. Initiative that we are going to scale up. We have already announced the 500 million Spaza Shop Support Fund that is between the Department of Small Business Development and DTIC, with 150 million rands that is contributed by the Department of Small Business Development and 350 million rands provided by the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition. And we are soon to launch that in the next coming 2 weeks, and a date will be communicated because we're still aligning diaries of all those that are involved. As I said, we are all working as a collective. Other businesses will still benefit from existing departmental funds, both by NEF, through our portfolio, the economic development initiatives in the provinces and the municipalities, including financial support through the DFIs. Now, the 500 million Spaza Shop Support Fund aims to achieve economies of scale by linking Spaza shops and food handling outlets to buying in groups for bulk purchasing. Many business people have complained that they're not able to get discounts, and we have observed that it is because they buy as individuals. Now we're trying to encourage them to work together so that they can be able to negotiate in bulk, and this is why we are utilizing this fund to say those that would have supported indeed will then participate in the bulk buying support. We're also looking at building business capacity, as I've spoken about the training that we provide, because we realized in the process of registration that some owners don't even know what is it that they're expected to have in the building that they own, in the equipment that they have, just like we still see others in containers, because they're not aware, but they're grabbing a business opportunity. And we do believe that providing training and education on that aspect will really assist by building capacity for them to understand how to be compliant and remain in business. Of course, we're also looking at enhancing market competitiveness to help the Spaza shops and food handling outlets to compete with some retailers that are in their areas. We have agreed with Minister Dow and the MECs here that we have supported a lot of locally produced products that are loved by many people, which is why in the offerings, in the packages that we'll be giving, some of those products will then be integrated and offered. We are going to roll out nationally to impact Spaza shops and food handling outlets across major townships and villages. We're planning to roll out a multidisciplinary outreach program. This means the entire government and the private sector will come together to undertake outreach throughout the country. And by this outreach, we want to bring government services closer to the people by ensuring that we disseminate information on all compliance that is related to Spaza shops and other food handling outlets. We've received lots of messages, and including the request for interviews when this process started, when the incident started, people asking us, when are you closing? What are you saying about the Spaza shop? Because people clearly do not understand who does what. This is why we believe that if we work collectively, we're able to unpack and therefore give information to those to say if you're going to be embarking on a Spaza shop business, you've got to ensure that you're compliant with all the different pieces of legislations that are administered by different departments. For example, the outbreak that was caused, as Minister of Health had indicated, that it arose out of a pesticide, and that is according to their results and the research that they've conducted. Now, what do we do as the departments responsible for business development? It means that it is a responsible department of health that then must come to the party, which is why we see the need to enhance the efforts that we had already started by ensuring that we work together, educate our masses, and I want to urge those entrepreneurs that are involved in business to make sure that they also familiarize themselves with the legislation and compliance of the areas that they are operating in. We continue to do this work with provinces and local municipalities, and as I indicated, we'll be crisscrossing the country, raising awareness and providing the trainings. We have agreed that there's a need to reinforce capability or human capital at local level, because one of the challenges that we find ourselves here is because through certain legislations we have passed them to the local sphere without providing the necessary support. That is why from our side we said we're going to contract 63 people that will act as business regulation officers and DDM champions to work with the district municipalities in assisting them with the work that we're talking about. And remember, we remain a DDM-focused government. Work doesn't happen at national level. Work happens at the local level, that is why we emphasize the need for participation by the LED officers or leaders in the municipalities. Therefore, this is an approach that goes across all the spheres. The regulatory environment needs to be streamlined, colleagues. I did talk about that to say we've discovered that only 60 have digitized systems. Therefore, what we have done as the department is to make sure that we don't only look at the red tape reduction program that we are offering to deal with the unnecessary criteria that is being set up by other municipalities, but we provide practical solutions. And this is why we've established provincial working groups with all the provinces. And of course, at the center of that is to ensure that we assist municipalities with e-registration systems. We are living in the digital world, but also for efficiency, it makes sense to invest in what people use and what people know, and assist, of course, where there are people who are still digital illiterates. We remain committed as government to streamline business licensing, as I indicated, to reduce regulatory burdens, foster an environment conducive to entrepreneurship, innovation, and job creation. Our amended National Business Licensing Bill, once approved and implemented, will provide clarity, consistency, and transparency in business licensing, enabling businesses to thrive and contribute to the country's economic growth and development. Now, colleagues, members of the media, you will recall that as you've been coming to us asking about licensing, we've told you that the Businesses Act entrusts municipalities with the responsibility of registering businesses. This is why now we are saying we're 10 years in existence as the department. We are beginning to insert ourselves as the authority that is responsible for the development of small businesses. Hence, we will be repealing the Businesses Act of 1991, introducing the Business Licensing Bill that I spoke about. We've also developed a system which we call the DSBG Connect platform, which will serve to streamline processes for registration. It will serve as a cutting-edge platform designed to support township and rural businesses, among others, by offering a comprehensive database and verification of businesses and strategic networking opportunities. Our intention is to empower businesses by facilitating access to funding, credit lines, business support, and procurement opportunities across government and the private sector. Municipalities and other system users will be onboarded and trained on the platform before we launch it. We extend our gratitude to all business owners who responded to the call and adhered to the laws of our land. As departments responsible for economic development, we remain dedicated to supporting small businesses in their growth and ensuring that they play a significant role in the nation's economy. Let our economy go back to its rightful owners, but also let's appreciate that the rights that we enjoy come with the responsibilities that are enshrined in our Constitution and the regulatory environment that we set for ourselves. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Minister, for that comprehensive report. Colleagues, I'm Sipe Matanda, the Director for Communications Management at the Department of Small Business Development. We're going to take questions here first and another round online with my colleagues that are going to be assisting me with that. And we are opening now the session for questions, colleagues. Going to be number 1, number 2, number 3. Okay, is that all, colleagues? 3 questions for now.
Morning. The first question would be in regards to, you spoke about competition between starter shop and retailers. So is there an effort to have more
Yeah, continue, yes.
So my question is, has the department established a relationship between retailers to ensure that they work with it? Because as we were covering the story, many were worried about retailers as well. But it seems like we're putting more attention on Spaza shop. That's the first question. The second question is based on the funding that you just mentioned. I just want to know is there a minimum amount that you will give each Spaza shop? And is registering a crucial requirement to be able to get this funding? Thank you.
Okay, Mangoba.
Okay, Mangoba from NCA. Minister, just 2 questions. The first one is there's been concerns, of course, over the deadline, with some calling for an extension to the registration deadline. What is your stance as government on this? Is there going to be another extension that will be afforded? for those. You mentioned that there were teething problems in some municipalities. Of course, you said they will be penalized, but is there a possible extension for those who are not able to register? And then secondly, is there an indication of how many people have registered so far countrywide?
Number 3.
Good afternoon. Shannon Merrick, Kasi Broadcasting Africa. I think one of the important things is 500 million sounds a lot of money to a lot of people. But when you divide it by 9, it gives you for province 5.1 million. When you divide it like Joburg, 7 million. It's just going to be economics. When you divide it by another 10, it then gives you 5 million for metro. When you divide it into a region, it then gives you 100,000 per region. When you divide it by 4,500 votes in the country, it gives you less than 100,000. So my question is, besides the 500 million, it looks like this project needs 5 billion, to be honest. But besides the 500 billion, what other support are there? One knows that Gauteng Enterprise, Provincial, Limpopo, all these departments, MECs are there as well in the different provinces. They have these enterprises that help people with financial and non-financial support. Will they assist business with non-financial support, start your own business, improve your own business? Because besides just giving someone money, there is a big need for people to understand how to start your business, how to improve your business. Last but not least, to the minister, it's good to say South African businesses, small businesses must comply, they must have staffs and all those things. But then you have, like in city of Joburg, where a 200 million tender goes to a Zimbabwean company or Nigerian company to fix a road in city of Joburg. So how should we feel as black-owned businesses when that happens? Thank you.
Thank you very much, colleagues. Before we go to Zola, colleagues, we also have our MSs from our provinces, Free State, Eastern Cape, and Northwest. You are free to ask questions from them also. Zola?
Thank you very much. Minister, I heard you speak about the 500 million rand. And really what I would like to understand is that how is it going to firstly, are Spaza shop owners aware of this money? And I'm asking this because, you know, when you're on the ground, they do mention the figure, but how do they access it? And also, what's going to be the criteria that's going to be followed for one to apply? What is going to be considered? You know, what? Because we've got so many Spaza shops in the Gauteng province alone, particularly in townships and informal settlements. And as my colleague has said, it sounds like a big figure. But when you look at, you know, the number of Spaza shops, you know, in Gauteng alone, I'm not looking at other provinces like your Eastern Cape. There's just so many. So if you could just, you know, explain what criteria will be followed in terms of allocating these funds.
Thank you very much, colleagues. Minister, I think the interest more is on the 500 million from our colleagues. Any questions for the MECs? Okay, Minister? Yeah.
Thank you so much, colleagues, for the questions that have been asked. As indicated, we'll have the MECs also coming to respond to some of the things. The competition between Spaza shops and retailers and yes, there is lots of competition, which is why I said earlier on when I was addressing that we are using this bulk amount to encourage bulk buying so that you reduce the elements on pricing. Of course, we understand the economies of scale, because others will be buying with 100 billion rands, and there's nothing we can do to stop them. But to say, at least for those that we'll be working with, they should consider giving some discounts to the Spaza shops that will be participating. Remember, although the 500 million may be a once-off to those businesses, but they will continue being in business, which means they're going to continue buying from the same retailers and the wholesalers that are there. So that's a rotating money within our community, and then they will do as business people to negotiate more, better than what we have done. Is there a relationship between retailers and the department? Earlier on, I think it was last year when this started, we reported that as the department we had established a township economy forum that is made by the wholesalers, the manufacturers, and other people that are involved. And that was long before the foodborne illness incident, because we had said there's a need for us, if we are going to be looking at rebuilding the township and rural economy, let's work with all ecosystem players so that we're able to say, where are you not assisting our people? And how do we then intervene in ensuring that our people can be able to stay in business, and also ensure that there's fair trade practices that are practiced by all those, which is why compliance is one of those. And this we have explained several times. It doesn't matter if you're non-South African or South African. Compliance is compliance. If you are given access to do business, you've got to make sure that you're compliant with all the laws of our country. And it's the same message that we are giving, which is why we're not only engaging the retailers and big business, we're engaging the traditional leaders, because some of the Spaza shops are found in the locals. We're working with township associations to make sure that they are part and they provide solutions, because they have lived experiences outside us that are not running Spaza shops. The minimum amount for a Spaza shop, for a startup, we have said we're starting at 10,000 rands. Again, this is informed by the information that we're getting from the ecosystem. To say you can start, when you're a startup, you can start with 10,000 rands, and then you're testing your market to see what's going to be the appetite, and then you can grow from that. Then it is 40,000 rands for the stock. We have a package of 100,000 rands, which is 50,000 rands for infrastructure related, whether you're talking about the POS or the refrigerators that they must have, or assisting with the building when we're not building for them, but the ventilation and all the basic things that they must have. So for those that would have been found to be not compliant within the building site, we will assist with those. So whatever that is picked up by inspectors, remember it is registration and inspections are ongoing. So they provide feedback to us to say you have 25 South African-owned Spaza shops that are not compliant on 1, 2, 3. And colleagues, it doesn't mean that Spaza shops cannot afford stock. When we're talking about the money that we have put in place is to intervene to assist those that are deserving and in need of that. Because others, they decide to grab an opportunity, but they may have missed all the other compliance requirements, which is why we're talking about an outreach program that raises awareness and trains small businesses that are involved in the matter that we're talking about on everything that they must know, and we assist when necessary. So was the registration a requirement for funding? Yes. That's why we said those that would have registered and found not to be compliant and also in need, we will support them. It was a specific intervention. We are running programs, as the other colleague did mention, that municipalities, provinces have funds to support small businesses and Spaza shops. That continues, but this is a fund specifically to intervene because we've taken a decision that we don't want any South African-owned person who has decided to take a cautious decision of embarking on Spaza shop industry to be excluded because they can't afford compliance. That is why we're stepping in. We're stepping in for those that cannot afford, and they need whatever we need. Mangoba, extension possible? I did indicate earlier we're speaking only on business here. The net joins, after receiving all the report, we'll look at whatever that needs to be looked at, and we'll make a determination, and they will advise the country on what next. That also talks to the data of the registered Spaza shops. The net joins will do that. The registration was only on Friday, and then that information needs to be consolidated, because I know the next thing you'll be saying, Minister, you said 25,000 are registered, but this is the data that we are getting. It is important that we make sure that we have scrutinized all the information that we are receiving from our registration centers. I fully agree 500 million rands is not a lot, considering that the Spaza shop industry is a big industry on its own. But the fact that it is big, it tells you that people have started trading. That is why I said it's just an intervention. other funds that we have, for example, in the department, we have the Township and Rural Enterprise Program, which also assists Spaza Shop with some funding. So it's not like we're closing out other interventions. The work continues. That's why I said earlier, this one for those that have registered, but the support continues with the other DFIs and the institutions that are responsible. Provinces definitely, as I said, they are supporting, and the MECs that are here will talk to the support that they provide. In relation to the tender awarded to a non-South African, I'm not sure what is the question, whether the question is why are we awarding businesses to non-South Africans, or is the illegality aspect of it. Because if it is legal, there's nothing stopping us. Remember, we said the Immigration Act does provide business visa to non-South Africans. Therefore, if they were compliant and they're given a business visa, it means they have a right to trade in our country. Unfortunately, I'm not aware what is the tender about or this compliance. That is something that the journalists can follow up. Of course, we'll also try to check in the interest of protecting South African-owned businesses. Other Spaza shops are aware. We've been running campaigns. We've involved local communities. We worked with township associations. We worked with CDWs. We were involved on radio and TV campaigns to make sure that everyone gets the message to say, Spaza shops must register, but most importantly, there is this fund that we're explaining. You may be correct in saying we had not came out to articulate how the fund will be administered and what's the criteria, which is what, as we indicated, we needed to get a feedback from those that are doing registration to say how many are those and then which areas are they not compliant on. But to say what amount, we are clear about that. That is why we can't say in the Eastern Cape is 5 or in Joburg it's 10. Because that report that will be finalized in the net joints is what will give us a sense of what is at critical stages in their respective areas. Allow me to then invite my colleagues to come and talk to the work that they do in relation to this work. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you, Minister, my colleagues. In the Free State, we have been taking some initiatives to try and assist, having also realized that 500 million was not a lot. One of them is that we have involved Coca-Cola in relation to non-financial support. They are supporting most of the tech shops through refurbishment. And this program has started since last year in July, and it is still progressing. We are also doing the blending fund. The blending fund is where we are trying to have all the FDIs bringing some for the grants, but the other portion being the loans, so that those who are involved in the tech shop business, they can also have those things. Then the third thing is that we also have the Provincial Joint Team, which includes all the departments that are concerned, that is monitoring the work that we have been doing. Also in relation to the numbers, they will also be released once we have finalized with verification and other things. But what I can say is that there's a lot of work that we have also been doing as a province to ensure that the ordinary people who are involved in this business, they do get information. We've also established some centers in all of our municipalities to ensure that they access information. So this is what work that we have been doing in the Free State in relation to support what the national initiative has been involved in. Thank you very much.
Thank you. From the Northwest, let me also join the Minister and agree that we work as a collective, as government, because whatever that the Minister has been saying is actually part of the collaboration that we have with the National Ministry. And it is important to note that the numbers that has been given to us here in challenging the 500 million, Minister, is actually referring to one set. Even if you say metro, you say municipality, you say what, the fact remains you are referring to one counted spaza shop or business that we are referring to. So there might be duplication. So we would not agree to that because we agree that we allocate funds based on the profile that we have as government. So the 500 million has considered the ecosystem and the collaboration that we have from the level of municipality up to this level, and we might be referring to the same individuals. But key also to indicate that from the side of the Northwest, our focus here, Minister, have outlined very clear in the statement that we are focusing mainly on the broader pronouncement of the President, but the key mandate that is performed by us as department, concentrating on small business support. We also have, like Free State, it's common that we have first had to put systems in place that respond to the presidential call. The Minister spoke of the 60. I am talking to the 600 ambassadors, we call them ambassadors, that we have dispatched to the ground to focus on each and every ward to profile what is happening in as far as the operations is concerned. At the back of our mind is empowerment and support and transformation. We're aware that most of, we call foreign nationals, but the fact of the matter is that those people are hosted by our own people because they want relief from the rent, and that is why we deal with transformation, our people having to independently operate business, but also to empower them. So part of what we are doing in the Northwest, we are using our entity called the Northwest Development Corporation, that is the NWDC, where we focus on incubation of business, including the spaza shops, starting to train them. Our main focus also is our bill. The Minister spoke of the legislation review on the national licensing. We have already, as the Northwest, we are done with the Business Licensing Act of the Northwest. We have some regulations that operate, that draw comfort from the bigger act that is national. But that bill gives us provision. We have established the 9 one-stop shop centers, because business in this case, whilst we are focusing on retail and spaza shops, but the food outlets might be where we operate our liquor restaurants, where we operate our gambling operations. All those things relates to the broader call by the President where there might be business operating. And we also have on the website of the Northwest, as we speak, we are going out, we have a number of outreaches that we conduct across municipalities where there is an applications for funding that is related to the same funding that the Minister have been pronouncing, but at the level of the province. It is online. There's a link. It has closed on the 27th of March, which is focusing mainly on funding small business. But we also have the hubs that we have launched, and this time around as the Northwest, we have even established a hub in the university, because that hub seeks to start to look into all those graduates that are in the streams of business, so that they might also look at there's a broader picture about business support. It's not only to buy stock to people, but it's also about to empower them such that the state can not only be the source for funding. We also, like the Coca-Cola, we are also, as the Northwest, engaging Coca-Cola to form collaboration. We also have other private establishments that we are doing. And I think the Minister, if we were to take the communities on board, we'll tell them that this collaboration with the National Department is big. It has made a lot of impact, and I would not agree that the 500 million is not enough, because from the side of the Northwest, there was a target that we could not reach in the previous financial year, which I think that is why we're establishing databases. Our one-stop shop centers will be working on that in collaboration with the 60 dispatched professionals that will be coming down. But we also have municipalities that the Business Licensing Act of the Northwest allows municipalities, the MEC, to give powers to municipalities to regulate business on their own. That is why I'm saying this ecosystem is broad, but government is one. We have one mandate, that is to empower, that is to transform, and that is to make our business, our people manage their own business and be able to be independent from the state funding. Thank you.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Minister, colleagues, and everybody that is part of this session. As the province of the Eastern Cape, we are one government. In South Africa, we do not have a federal state. We've got a unitary state. So what is done by national is working together with the provinces, and we are all working together with local government, with the LED directorates in municipalities. On top of the 500 million that the minister have mentioned here, it's an add-on on what support we are giving to SMMEs, whether you call them Spaza shops or the food outlets. And we have other funding streams as the province under the Eastern Cape Development Corporation, which is ECDC. We do have Invaba Fund, where we fund the cooperatives. And also under the department, we have ULRAD that focuses on local businesses and rural, as you know, that Eastern Cape is a rural province, and we are also focusing on rural development, and that is a grant. It's not even a loan, but we do have loans for SMMEs through ECDC and ECRDA. And in the Premier's office, we have Isikalo Fund that focuses only on young people, those that are between 18 and 35 years, and it's a grant. It's not even a loan. And also as the province, we do support the informal traders, because we know that those who are trading informally, they are contributing to the growth of the economy of the province, and also they are working for their families. And as we know that we also have the blended finance as the province that is done by SIDFA and ECRDA, one of the entities of the province. And also loans are provided to small businesses by ECDC and ECRDA. But we also have a local economic development procurement framework as the province, where we are saying all departments, including municipalities, 60% of the procurement must go to local people, that is businesses from the Eastern Cape. And if you talk of businesses, small business, SMMEs are part of businesses. And we also look at how the percentage that goes to women, youth, people that are living with disabilities, and also the military veterans. And we also provide the non-financial support through training, working with SIDFA, with SIDFA. And as Minister mentioned here, that nationally there are only 60 municipalities that have electronic systems. In our province, there's only one, and we are going to work with all municipalities to make sure that we have a system as a province and be able to know who is operating where, in which village and in which township. And we do have incubators for small businesses in our SEZ, that is the East London IDZ, and Kucha, where they are training also the SMMEs and giving support to SMMEs. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. MECs. Colleagues, we're going to take the last round, but first we're going to check on our online platforms. Takalani, do we have any questions?
Thank you. We do have a few questions from online. The first one, I'm afraid I think this question is related to the question that Manuel has asked of the extension of the deadline. The question was asked by William Kulit from the Democratic. But the other question is from Norma from Voice FM. And the question is, I would like to know from the Minister if the 500 million rand intervention fund, if it applies to persons who previously owned spaza shop and the business is failed? And how do people from small towns access these kind of facilities? Yeah, that should be it for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tagalani. Colleagues, any last takers on the floor? Okay, thank you very much, Minister. Just the two questions. And I think that one of the questions you've already answered.
Thank you so much, Norma. That question is very good that you are repeating it. It is important to note that, as I indicated, the fund is an intervention to businesses or spaza shop owners that have heeded the call by registering. So whether you are a previous owner, if you have registered that you have the spaza shop and it has been indeed checked that the spaza shop does exist, yes, it applies to you. But now, if you have not registered and you have an intention of opening a spaza shop, as we are going to be closing those that are not compliant, because the responsible authorities will definitely close those that have to be closed. So it's an opportunity. If those that will be closed then will not be coming into business immediately, which is why when I explained earlier, I said those that are South African owned and have taken the initiative to go and register, within 6 months, we've made that commitment to assist them with all the compliance. So there's going to be those that may not be. For example, if you are illegal in South Africa, it means you must go back home and start the process afresh of applying to come back to South Africa before you do business. And it's an opportunity for a South African that knows how to run a spaza shop that intends to. I also indicated that as part of the support, we also have an amount of 10,000 rands worth of stock that goes to startups. Startups are people who are starting afresh because there is an opportunity in the area of a spaza shop that can work. That is why we are putting the amount at 10,000 rands, because they're still going to test the market and then be able to go and apply for bigger support where the need arises. Is there anything I've not responded to? All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Minister. Colleagues, thank you very much. That was our last round. And any announcements in terms of the launch of the fund, we will communicate to you. But thank you very much for coming on a Sunday afternoon for our briefing. Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you very much, MECs. And thank you very much, colleagues.